Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fabric Tech Talk Fridays. I'm your host, Patrick LeBlanc, and today we're going to talk about blazing fast data with Nikola. Nikola, before we get into event houses and databases, why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Patrick. It's great to be here with you. My name is Nikola. I work as a principal architect for Microsoft Fabric solutions for Ilic Digital, one of the largest global Microsoft partners. I've been also recognized as a Microsoft Data Platform MVP for last 6 years. So most of my time I'm spending working with Microsoft Fabric.
Wow. Well, nice to be here with you, Nicola. And so the event house, I've played with the event house, right? I haven't done anything real serious, but I'm starting to dig into it and learn things about it. Tell us about it. Tell us about the event house. Why is it important? Why are we here today talking about it?
Sure, absolutely. So you probably spent the last year or so hearing about lake houses and warehouses until
Yes.
your ears are ringing, right? But today we are talking about another house in Microsoft Fabric, and it's Event House. So if you think of a lake house as a massive library and the warehouse is a high-end bank vault, the Event House, think of it as your 24-hour air traffic control tower. So talking technically, Event House is a logical container that is specifically tailored to handle streaming data.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, it's built on a different engine. It's built on a Custo language or KQL. And while the rest of Microsoft Fabric is busy thinking about data at rest, which means data that is sitting in a file waiting to be read, the Event House is obsessed with data in motion. So it's
Yeah.
where your logs, your IoT sensor data, and your real-time clicks live.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just store the data; it also catches it. I like to call it mid-air, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's kind of like,
yeah,
right. It's like it's gone. The data's
absolutely,
moving.
yeah,
The
yeah,
data's moving really fast. And so
absolutely,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So like if I wanted to, I do YouTube. I'm on YouTube a lot. And I wanted to, as comments were coming in, because we get so many comments on our YouTube videos. I want to capture the comment, detect the sentiment, and then let me know if there's some negative sentiment, right? That data's constantly changing, moving, and I want to know something like that. Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting.
Absolutely. And I have a great illustration to show you. Like my favorite analogy when I'm explaining to people what event house is the analogy with the newspaper. So basically, think about this way: the warehouse or lake house approach is like reading the morning newspaper. It's amazing, it's detailed, it's curated, and it tells you exactly what happened yesterday. But
Yeah.
if your house is currently on fire, a newspaper delivered tomorrow morning isn't going to help you much. I think we can agree on that. So the
Absolutely.
event house approach here is like a live smoke alarm. Like it's scanning the air every second. It doesn't care about the history. It cares about what is happening right now.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. And so instead of like me batching and storing the data like nightly, so typically in a warehouse, if you're doing a star schema or in a lake house, you're building this medallion architecture, you have this process that runs. And it may be doing some change detection on the data to incrementally load that data, but it's at a specific time during the day or daily or monthly or weekly or quarterly, where with the event house, this data is constantly coming in, right? It's constantly letting me know, hey, this is what's going on.
Exactly. Absolutely, that's the biggest difference. So with Lakehouse and Warehouse, like you said, we are waiting for certain period in time to collect all the data and then process all of this data as a bundle, as a chunk, or as a batch. That's why we are calling it batch processing. With Event House, as soon as data becomes available, we are immediately processing it, and that's the biggest difference. And I would say, understanding when to choose which of these options in Fabric is very important. And let's say from a very high level point of view, if your data is coming in batches and you want to do a standard business reporting like we did for previous 30-40 years, I don't know, go with a warehouse. Of course, if you have massive raw unstructured data and you want maximum flexibility in terms of programming languages and everything else that can be used, your choice should be a lakehouse. And if your data is streaming, comes in high volumes, and you need to react in seconds, then go to an event house.
Nice,
That's
nice.
yeah, that's my suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good explanation because a lot of people when I'm on the phone they go, "Ah, we need real time." I go, "What do you mean
Are
by
you
real
sure?
time?
Yeah.
Do you need real time or do you need real time?" Because for some people, real time is once a day, and I'm like, that's not real time. You don't need an event house. Use a warehouse. Use a lake house, right? But they're convinced that they need it right now. Direct query. Everybody wants to go direct query. You don't need direct query. Your data's not changing. Yeah, yeah. This is good. This is good. I like it.
Absolutely, yeah. I totally can resonate with you. And the most important point, and I would say probably the key takeaway from our video today is the following. So it's not so people usually have these talks about which one is better, lake house or warehouse or event house. It's not about which one is better. It's about choosing the right tool for your business, or to be more precise, to one the tool that can follow the speed of your business. That's how you should choose between these different fabric items.
Good. Yeah, it makes sense, right? It absolutely makes sense because I have a workshop that I do talking about fabric, and they're like, "Well, which one do we use? Which one's going to solve your problem, right? What type of problem do you have? And this is the type of storage. This is the house you want to go live in. It just depends on the size of your family, right?"
Yeah, totally makes sense. Totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Totally
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I have another point of confusion that is common. This one was between event house, warehouse, and lake house, but also there is a confusion between event house and KQL database. And I would like
Oh
quickly to
yeah.
try to explain how these two items are different and how they correlate to each other. So yeah, again, I have like analogy, not so powerful as the newspaper, but still I think it's a good one. So think of event house as your apartment building, and then the KQL database as the apartment inside that building. So that means that, for example, the building itself provides the electricity, the water, security guard at the front desk, and so on. And the actual living space is KQL database. So that's the place where you physically store your data. So it has the furniture, which is, let's think about furniture as tables, and all your rules like functions and all this other cool stuff. And you can have many apartments in one building. It's the same with event houses and KQL databases. You can have one or more KQL databases inside a single event house.
Yep. Yep. And so, do you have at least illustration for that? Do you have a slide that
I
illustrates
do,
that?
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Thanks for
yeah,
reminding me. So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is an example. We have two event houses. My first event house has just one KQL database inside. My second event house has two KQL databases inside of it. It can be more than two, of course. Depends on, again, on your business needs. But think of an event house as a container that is used to centrally manage and control KQL databases as the objects that are physically storing the data.
So if for me, right, I've been doing this way too long, but I think about SQL Server, right? You have your SQL Server, which is the instance of your SQL Server, and then I have multiple databases on that SQL Server. The SQL Server is somewhat synonymous with the event house, and then the database, the SQL Server database, is the same thing as the KQL database. Kind of similar, kind of a similar type of thing, right?
Absolutely,
Yep,
absolutely. You manage your databases through the server rules,
yep,
and each database can also be managed additionally on a finer grain. So
yeah.
I like this. I like this
Yeah.
comparison.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. What's next? What do we have next?
Yeah. So I wanted to show you a couple of things inside Microsoft Fabric, because it's nice hearing us talking and looking at
Yeah.
these slides. But let's see how this looks like in reality. So I have an event house that I've created, and I have two KQL databases inside of it. I have a KQL. I'm using sample data set so that everyone basically can replicate all of these demos and showcases. So I'm using one KQL database for the weather sample data set, and another one for the famous New York City taxi data
We
set.
all know that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So, what I wanted to show you quickly here is a couple of things. So, first of all, if you don't believe us that you can have more than KQL databases, this is the proof. So, I have two KQL databases inside one event house. And then from the system overview page, I can manage these databases, I can see from a high level point of view what's going on inside of my event house, what is the total activity, number of ingested rows, who are the users that been active inside the event house, and everything else. Like you said, SQL Server instance. If I go then to the databases, then I can see all this information broken down on a separate or individual KQL database. And if I go to the database itself, I want to show you a couple of features that I consider really powerful in terms of integrating data from the event house with other data that is stored inside Microsoft Fabric. You know the saying, all roads in Fabric lead to one lake. So
All roads lead to
let's
one lake.
see. Yes,
All
so
roads
let's
lead to one
see.
lake.
Yes, yes. So let's see how this concept of all roads lead to one lake refers to or relates to event house. So basically, I have one confession to you. So you know that whenever you store the data in Fabric, it's automatically stored in Delta Parquet format, right? This is not happening with KQL database,
Yeah, that's
right?
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it has a different storage format, and now again being able to consolidate all of your data into one single unified view, which is what OneLake promises, is not possible if we don't have this event house data somehow stored as a delta format. And this is as easy in event house as clicking on three dots and then choosing this OneLake option. And then there is a feature called Event House OneLake Availability, which is by default turned off. That means we can't combine data if we don't turn this on.
Sure.
So once I turn this option on, my data will be automatically converted into Delta Parquet format, which means that now I can write my SQL queries, I can write my PySpark code and combine data from the KQL database together with data that is stored, for example, in a lakehouse or a warehouse. This can be done on two levels. It can be done on the entire database level, or it can be done on the individual table level. So basically, you can control based on your specific requirements if you want just a specific table or set of tables to be
Mhm.
replicated as Delta or the entire database.
Now, so just to clarify, right? So if by default it's not on, and so these tables are not in the one lake, you can't create shortcuts to them until this is on, right? If I'm in a lake house and I want a shortcut to these, I need to turn this on so I can create shortcuts to these tables. But just because I turn it on one database doesn't necessarily mean it's on another database, right? This is managed, like you said, at the table, at the database level. If you want all the tables in the database, turn it on at the database level. If you want specific tables, turn it on, for those specific tables. It's flexible. I like the flexibility of it. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. It's much better than for Power BI semantic models where we have the same feature, but it's on
Yeah.
the entire model
It's the
level, so
whole
you can't
thing.
pick tables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
yeah,
whole thing for Power BI. Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to show you. Another thing I wanted to show you is shortcuts. So
Yeah.
just in case that someone didn't hear about shortcuts in Fabric, it's personally that's one of my top 5 features in the entire Fabric. Those are the objects that point to the data that is stored outside of Microsoft Fabric, if you're talking about external shortcuts, or in some other Fabric item inside OneLake, if we talk about internal shortcuts. So basically, we are creating a pointer. We have a virtualized copy of the data that we can use the same way as it was natively stored. So this is super powerful and super amazing for avoiding these data silos and data flowing all over the place. So that's why I love shortcuts.
Yeah. They're great. One
Yeah,
of my favorite features. One of my
yeah,
absolute favorite features. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So you can create shortcuts inside KQL database. Currently, I don't have any, but if I click on three dots and then select new, similar to, I know people who used to work with Lakehouse will recognize this screen. So similar to Lakehouse shortcuts, you can do the same thing with Event House shortcuts. So for example, I'll pick this Lakehouse that is in another workspace, and then for example, let's say I'll bring this called fact orders table as a shortcut. So I'm not creating a physical copy of this data, but rather whenever my query needs the data from this table, this data will be available through the shortcut.
Wow.
So yeah, it takes just a couple of seconds and bam, it's successful. And now you see that in my shortcuts folder, I have a shortcut that points to the gold fact orders table. From here, I can query this data using KQL code, which is another powerful feature, especially if you have this type of data that is suitable for using KQL specific functions.
Wow. Wow. Okay, you'll have to come back and we'll do a video where you teach us how to do some KQL against these KQL these databases in the event house. That'll be a fun video. You'll have to come back and show us that.
Okay, thanks. I'm looking forward in the text. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So, anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, a couple of more things,
Yeah.
small life improvements, let's say, or powerful features that you may use. One of those is event house endpoint for lake houses and warehouses, which lets you to query lake house or warehouse data in this high performing and real time querying way using both KQL and SQL. So how it's done? Again, I'll go to my lake house. Let me just uh, go back to the workspace itself. And once I open the Lakehouse and click on three dots, you see all the way down at the bottom, I have the option Event House Endpoint. So once I click on it, it will basically create a read-only endpoint for the data in this Lakehouse. And then I can write KQL query code against the data in the Lakehouse. So if you have, as I said, you can query basically any data, but it's especially useful for those scenarios where you have telemetry data, different logs that needs to be analyzed. They're stored in the Lakehouse.
Mhm.
You need some KQL specific functions, create endpoint and read data immediately.
Wow. Okay. All right. That makes sense because there's some different things you can do in that KQL language that Python or SQL can be somewhat challenging to do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it. I was wondering about why would we do this, but I get it now. I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. So this is the most easiest way. Those are the things that we already mentioned, like OneLake integration for the event house. We already mentioned you can do that on a database or on an individual table level. And in my opinion, key strengths of the event house and why you should consider using event houses in your data platform architectures. First, shortcuts. We already explained and shown them how they work. Event house endpoint. We also show how to create one in Microsoft Fabric. Auto indexing, because I know your past, you used to work a lot with SQL Server and other relational databases. Indexing, in old days, we had to guess which columns people would query, right? And build our indexes manually. So if we miss one, the query crawls, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I used to tell people all the time indexing was not a science, it's an art. It's an
it's
art.
an art.
Indexing
It's an
is an
art.
art. It's an art.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the great thing in the event house is that everything is indexed by default
Yeah.
because it's built on the Custo engine. It indexes the data as soon as it arrives. So
Nice.
you just feed the data and that's it. Another thing is partitioning. Uh, Again, in our previous days, or if we are talking right now about lake houses, we are in charge how we want to partition the data. So do we want to partition by year, by month, by department? So if you get this wrong, moving data is a nightmare, I would say. And the great thing about Event House is that partitioning is also happening automatically based on the ingestion time. So this is also one of the features that make these queries run blazing fast over large amounts of data. One more thing, native time series, because we
Uh,
were talking about some specific flavors of data where event house is should be your primary choice. One of those is time series data. Most databases treat time like just another number, but the event house really understands time. So if you want to see a trend, to find an anomaly or predict something, you usually need either a math degree or 200 lines of Python code, right? So in Event House, we can use KQL, which has time series baked into its DNA, I would say.
yeah.
And there are some useful commands like make series, which we can use to fill in missing data points. This is one of very simple examples how you can create a series of data points using KQL. And it's easy to visualize the data once you do that. It's easy to understand what's going on from a time perspective. And one last thing, I promise this is the last thing. It's about handling complex JSON and XML. Again, this is a very painful experience if we are talking about SQL-based scenarios, right? So with Eventhouse, we have a feature that is called dynamic column, and that means you just dump the JSON in, and you don't even have to define the schema first. It's like a high-end woodchipper, I would say. So that means you throw the whole tree, like the whole JSON object, and the Eventhouse will shred it perfectly into columns, and you can query those columns immediately.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my list of strengths, special strengths. Of course, there are many more, but those are, let's say, differentiation points compared to other solutions when working with data.
Yeah, I gotta go try out the complex JSON one, because I work with a lot of JSON data, and parsing it through Python or even using SQL to parse it. I mean, it's some work. It takes some effort to get it done. But if it can automatically do it, I think I said that in the other video. I definitely need to check that out.
Try this with dynamic columns. Try this. I would love to hear your opinion once you do that.
I will absolutely try it out. Well, Nikola, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come hang out with us at Fabric Tech Talk Fridays. If you have any questions or comments for myself or Nikola, you know what to do. Post it in the comments below. If this is your first time visiting the Fabric YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, from Microsoft, Nikola, and myself, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you found this video valuable, don't forget, hit that like button.
If this is your first time visiting the Microsoft Fabric YouTube channel, be sure to smash that subscribe button.
Drop a comment below on what you'd like to see on future episodes of Fabric Tech Talk Fridays.
That's it for today. See you all next Friday for another deep dive into Microsoft Fabric.